we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom, and welcome to the Big Honker Podcast. Did you know? Brought to you by Mallard Bay. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver.
Check out Mallard Bay if you're booking your next outdoor adventure. If you're selling them, they're a great resource to have. So book up those unsold dates.
I'm going to go first if that's okay.
That'd be fine.
I got two little things. The first one's just a little tidbit. In December of 2016, Elon Musk spent $300 million to dig a massive tunnel underground. Wall Street called it a publicity stunt. Now it's worth over $100 billion. Here's the insane story of the Boring Company. Elon Musk's future underground solution to solve traffic situations forever, while cities globally are desperate to buy it. In December of 2016, Elon was stuck in LA traffic. Frustrated, he tweeted, "Traffic is driving me nuts. I'm going to build a tunnel boring machine and just start digging." Most thought it was a joke, but Elon wasn't kidding. 2 weeks later, the Boring Company was born. Its mission was to build a network of underground tunnels to solve traffic congestion. Wall Street analysts laughed. It's a distraction, they said, a publicity stunt. But Musk saw something they didn't. The tunnel boring industry hadn't innovated in decades. Machines were slow and expensive. Musk believed he could revolutionize the technology, make tunnels cheaper and faster to build. His first move was set to buy a used boring machine and start experimenting. In 2017, the Boring Company raised $112.5 million. $100 million of that was from Musk himself. The rest from selling 20,000 flamethrowers at $500 each. Yes, flamethrowers. Wall Street thought Musk had lost his mind, but he was just getting started. By 2018, the Boring Company had completed its first test tunnel in Hawthorne, California. The cost was $10 million per mile. Traditional tunnels cost $1 billion per mile.
Oh, well, that's a bargain.
Musk cut costs by 99% by shrinking tunnel diameter and developing continuous tunneling technology. In 2019, the Boring Company won its first major contract, a $48.7 million project to build a transportation system under the Las Vegas Convention Center. Completed in 2021, it proved that Boring Company wasn't just talk, it could deliver a real working project. So that was a really pretty cool deal. So
they say a lot of people in LA, that's where the stars drive. They got Starbucks and everything down there.
On the bottom of them?
Yep.
It's pretty damn cool.
But you don't, us commoners, we can't drive that road. It's all for the uppity.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, now my other thing is 47 fun U.S. presidential flags, but we're not going to do 47 of them. You know what the worst campaign ever slogan in history, who it belonged to?
Yes, we can.
No, You know who it belonged to, who studied it. Al Smith, who was against prohibition. To show his support for the creation, distribution, and sale of alcohol, he advertised, "Vote for Al Smith and he'll make your wet dreams come true." The only clean election in American history. Do you know when that was?
The only clean one?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if we've ever had one.
1789, George Washington ran unopposed.
Oh, that's easy.
Yep. It wasn't until 1856 that Congress removed, you had to own property before you could even vote in a U.S. election. In 1856. Before that, if you didn't own property, you couldn't vote.
Have some stake in the game.
Yep. U.S. presidents choose which Bible or books they want to use on Inauguration Day. Did you know that?
I think I'd heard that.
President Obama chose two Bibles, the Lincoln Bible, and underneath it he had Martin Luther King Jr.'s Bible.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool. During the 1872 election, presidential incumbent Ulysses S. Grant ran against a corpse. His opponent had died, Horace Greeley.
Poor fella.
In 1870, Congress passed the 15th Amendment, which granted the right to vote to African Americans and other non-white men. However, African Americans' rights to vote were often denied in the South and parts of the North until the 60s. Congress gave Native Americans the right to vote in the presidential elections in 1924. However, some states banned them from voting until the 40s. George Washington is the only U.S. president in history to win 100% of the Electoral College votes. This is mainly because organized parties weren't formed yet and he ran unopposed. George Washington blew his entire campaign budget on 165 gallons of liquor to serve to potential voters.
Mm-hmm.
The Constitution does not state when Election Day should be, which meant that in the early 1800s, people could vote from April to December. God, I'd get sick of them TV commercials. In 1845, Congress decided that voting day would be the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. I can't believe there's a Tuesday that doesn't follow after the first Monday, so I'm assuming it can be no later than the 13th. Andrew Jackson's inauguration party was so wild that Jackson snuck out the White House and spent the night at a hotel. Finally, servants dragged tubs of punch out in the lawn to lure out the crowds. Did you know Jehovah's Witnesses don't vote in presidential elections?
I did not know that.
I did not either.
against their code.
In 1776, presidential campaign Thomas Jefferson secretly hired a writer named James Callender to attack his opponent, John Adams. In print, Callender called Adams a hermaphroditical character, which I have no idea what he means, who neither had the force of a man or the gentleness of a woman. Callender was later jailed for insurrection. Democrats used a donkey as their mascot thanks to Andrew Jackson. When its critics called him a jackass because of the populist views, he embraced the image, even used it along his side as slogan. So that's basically what all I've got to say about the president. Please, everybody, go vote. It's the most important election of your lifetime. They always are, but this one may be. But please go vote, please.
Okay, so my turn. Going along with a little bit of the election stuff, do you know what in 2020, what percentage of the population voted?
And what year?
2020.
33%.
66.8% of the U.S. population voted in
more than
2020.
I thought.
Do you know where the highest percentage is?
You mean age group or states?
State, kind of a state.
I'm going to say the Northeast.
Well, which state?
Oh, you want an actual state?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Massachusetts.
So it's kind of a tricky question. It's D.C., but
Well,
they're
their
all
jobs
politicians.
all depend. Their jobs depend on it.
84% of D.C. voted. Do you know where the least, the smallest percentage is? What state?
New Mexico.
No, Arkansas. Arkansas 54%, Oklahoma 58.3%, South Dakota 58.5%, Texas is at 63.9%. West Virginia is at 56%. So I'm looking for the one state that is actually a state. It looks like Minnesota at 77.9% voted. Oregon's actually pretty high at 74.1%. So, yeah. 2/3 of the American population voted, which was a bit
That's more than
shocking
I
to
would.
me.
I never thought that. This year's going to be a whole lot more.
Think so?
Yes.
I guess we'll find out. Okay, my last one. In 1986, a small lake in Africa killed 1,700 villagers and 3,500 livestock animals overnight when it suddenly released 100,000 tons of carbon dioxide, suffocating everything within 16 miles. This is a story of Lake Nyos in Cameroon. So basically what scientists believe happened is Lake Nyos is basically it's in a volcanic caldera. It's got the lake on it. So all the CO2 was trapped on the bottom. There's two schools of thought. One is that they had a volcanic eruption and it sent that CO2 to the top. Another school of thought is that they had a mudslide, and when the mud went to the bottom, it pushed the CO2 to the top, and the lake basically turned over. All the gas came up. It's up on a hill. Since CO2 is heavier than oxygen, it rolled down the valleys and it killed everybody and everything.
When would this happen?
1986.
That's very interesting.
So it killed 1,700 people. One of the things says the volcanic eruption triggered the sudden release of about 100,000 to 300,000 tons of carbon dioxide. The gas initially rose about 100. The gas cloud initially rose at nearly 100. It'd be 62 miles an hour. And then being heavier than air, descended on the nearby villages, suffocating everybody. A degassing system has since been installed in the lake, so this will never happen again, with the aim of reducing the concentration of CO2 in the water. There was another disaster like this called the Lake Manaun disaster 2 years earlier.
Was that in Nicaragua?
I think it's also in Africa. It is one of the only two recorded. It's called a limnic eruption. It's this one and it's this one. So let me see here.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, like I said earlier, what triggered the catastrophic outgassing? It's not known. Some people think it was a landslide. Other people. A third possibility is that cool rain began falling on one side of the lake, triggering the overturn. Others still believe that there was a small earthquake. But because witness did not report feeling any tremors on the morning of the disaster, this hypothesis is unlikely. So anyway, talk about a terrible way to die. You're just living your life, just having fun, and then you don't realize that you got CO2 coming after you.
And and you don't even know it.
No, I mean, yeah, you just.
It's like the guys that get the NOS gas or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It just drowns you.
Yeah. Just people in their villages and.
Bad deal.
People found them. No, actually, my last one. I'll do a bonus one since we got a little bit of time. Do you know where the term hush puppy comes from? I think you do because I think Tony told you.
I'd heard it before, but it's a really good, interesting story.
So back in the slave trade days, when runaway slaves were trying to get away from their masters, it's interesting talking about slaves and the election. But to throw the bloodhounds off of their scent trail, slaves would have pocket full of fried cornmeal in their pockets. When they heard the dogs getting close, they would throw the cornmeal off of the trail or on a different trail, and hence the name Hush Puppy, to get the dog to shut up, not be barking, so they can get away.
That is a very, very interesting story. And Tony was so impressed with it, he told me this morning. And I told him, he goes, do you know where it comes from? I said, I've heard this story before, but I cannot remember.
Yeah. Anyway.
Really interesting.
Who knows?
All right.
Could all be horseshit.
Y'all have a great week.
Go vote. Big day.
Go vote. Hard to believe Thanksgiving is just 3 weeks away. 3 weeks away from Thursday. Go vote. God bless you and have a great week.
Hopefully we can afford turkey by the end of it.